So Glenn, today we're talking about the importance of business owners working on their business rather than in it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you typically see with business owners that might have been in business for sort of 2 to 5 years?
Well, I guess when business owners first take on or start their business, it's always they've got rose-coloured glasses to a fair extent. So the first 2 years tends to be a bit of an eye-opener for them, and up to that 5 years, there's a reason a lot of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And basically the first 2 years they've got, like I said, rose-coloured glasses, probably a bit overly optimistic when they first started their business, a lot of business owners. And what tends to happen in that first 2 to 5 years is they find that it becomes a lot more of a grind, and they're really probably working a hell of a lot more than what they first anticipated. And quite often for not the same reward as what they would have if they had stayed put where they were. So a lot of business owners start their business because they're very good technically at what they do, whether they're in the building game or whether they're accountants or lawyers or whatever it might be. So they've started their business because they're very good technically, but they haven't really thought about what it's like to run a business, and they end up doing all of the work as well as all the admin, as well as all the financing, and taking on all the extra headaches of managing staff and managing money and managing a business that a lot of business owners hadn't really put a lot of thought around, having the right support around them to be able to deal with all those things. So It's a massive learning curve in that first 2 to 5 years, and we find that a lot of business owners are hit the point of, it's not what they expected.
No.
And they're really struggling with it after that sort of time frame.
Well, it's that exhaustion and the grind and the feeling like it's a job rather than actually their business and the enjoyment they started out with, isn't it?
And unfortunately, it means that they've got themselves a really shitty boss because they're taking on everything, and they're not getting paid probably as well as what they could have. And
that's right.
And they're working 80-hour weeks, and all of a sudden it's not so pretty and attractive. I think they expect that money will fall from the skies in the minute they open the business, but it doesn't happen that way. It's a grind, and you've got to work really hard and really smart. And it means that quite often they have then been sucked into purely being in the business.
That's right.
And it then becomes a bit of a catch-22 as to how they can extract themselves out of doing all that work.
Yeah, spot on. So, we've seen a number of cases of this over the years. What advice would you give to these, aspiring business owners that are in that, in that grind, the exhaustion, and they're trying to get out? What would you say to them?
Well, the biggest part is that we try and work backwards to the starting point, right? So most people have a reason for why they went into business. Yep. And after that 2 to 5 years, they've completely forgotten about it, or it's just the business is now not why they got into business.
No.
And some people, that might be, freedom. It might be some time freedom. They might have thought that they could work less, earn more, and have the freedom to be able to take more holidays. But they didn't plan for it.
No.
And all of a sudden now they're working way more hours and they don't have that time freedom. Or the reason they might have got into business might have been to have financial freedom, whereas what they'll find is that if they don't work, they're not getting paid.
That's
so they've
right.
actually gone the other way to what that financial freedom would have been.
Yes.
Or they haven't put a plan around how to get to financial freedom. So they might have had that idea, but they haven't really worked towards it, and they've set themselves up into something that's going to be really difficult unless they start to make some changes.
So let's talk about some specific advice that you might sort of think that applies in these situations.
Yeah, okay, so I guess it's always important to, once you find yourself in that situation, in that trap, and we've found ourselves in that ourselves, is to take a step back and get some advice and get some help from someone who can take an overall view, like us, to take an outsider's view, and we'll be able to see things that you won't be able to see from within your business. And having that helicopter view over the business, we can help you start to get back to what it is you really want the business to provide from you in respect to time, money, freedom, financial freedom. And a lot of the time, what business owners are looking for won't necessarily be the financial aspect. It'll be trying to gain back some time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's then that we start to work with clients on what they need, what changes they need to make to start getting some of that control back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've spoken to a few of the benefits of working with us as far as getting that helicopter view, getting the sort of that step back from the day to day, which is so important because when you're in the grind, you can't see anything else.
No.
Do you want to talk about the 3 sort of freedoms and how that works and how we apply that? Because often the 3 freedoms model, which we use in our business, is what they're missing. Yeah,
well, the 3 freedoms talks around those aspects we've talked about is about getting the business owner to understand that time freedom, financial freedom is more important than like being buried in the business for the whole time.
That's right. Yeah.
Having clients step through that process and work through the freedoms to tell us what their main focuses are helps us then direct them and give them some accountability as to why they're in business and what their vision for the business is, and help their employees or team around them understand what their vision is or was, and then set some goals and some accountabilities around what it is they should be doing for the next 90 days, 120 days, whatever the goal setting process might look like.
Yeah, that's right.
Whether it's short term, longer term, 1 year, 5 years, and help them get on that track as opposed to just being buried in the business and on the hamster wheel and not actually knowing where they're going. So.
And that accountability you talk about is so important. Like, we've used people over the years to keep us accountable. We've used coaches, we've used people in that regard. And it's having a cadence, isn't it? It's having whether it's a monthly or quarterly sort of cycle, just to keep the business owners on track.
Yeah. Well, it's about consistency. It's about doing the things that you know you need to do and doing them regularly.
That's right. Yep.
Having that, cadence is a good word. The regularity of meetings. So whether it's, we see the best models work with, you've got monthly meetings that might be some high level strategic meetings, and you've got weekly meetings that are more operationally focused, and then you've got your daily huddles that we have that are like a 10-15 minute meeting where people catch up and work out what they're doing for the day, what they need to do to hit a certain goal for the day, to get work through the door, to increase that workflow, and then putting some accountabilities around those meetings so that they happen regularly and that there's some clear reasons for why they're having meetings. It's not about meetings for meeting's sake. It's about having some regular, high-level, good value meetings that creates that cadence and that momentum so that they can start to get some control back.
Yeah, and drive outcomes, drive them forward, isn't it?
Yeah, so, correct.
Well, thanks for covering that, Glenn. I hope you'll get some value out of those watching the video.
And as always, it's, we find when we're providing the accountability for clients that they really start to see some great outcomes. So, and that's what we're all about. So,
yep.
Thanks, Ewan.